First thing I'm going to talk about is dissociation. And so dissociation is a big word. Yeah, yeah. For me, means it basically means a disconnect from the present environment, but not just a forgetfulness. It's not like I'm thinking and I'm not connected to the present moment, but dissociation is more for me more significant disconnect. So when I've had that experience, it's more like I'm spaced out. I'm here in a way, but I'm also not here. So I'm not able to feel anything actually in those moments. But I'm able to think. And I know other people, when they've had it, they're more significantly sometimes spaced out in the sense of disconnected. And they don't know, they're not connected to the present moment in any form. And when they come to sort of visit your back in connection, then they time has gone by and they didn't realize time has gone by. But when I've had that dissociation, I've noticed that is going to buy at present those moments. But I'm in also not fully there. I don't feel anything. I'm kind of a void experience, kind of a really darkness. Or it's hard to put words on it, but it's not like a depressed state, but depression or sadness or that's you can label that. But when I've had my experiences, they were just a void. There was nothing there. That I was, yeah, there's nothing there. So that's all I can say. Even though there's some sense of connection to the present moment, but I don't. It's just happening while it's happening. And yeah, and other people I met, they associate in ways where even they can go off walking for hours the forest and not know, and then find themselves in the cold, far away from home, not knowing how they got there. And so that would be a higher, higher end of the spectrum. So in my case, dissociation started, the context which gave what I call fusion or life was, in my view, I choose the contexts I am born into. That's my belief. But if you were to look at it from more of a conventional model of making sense, then for me, it started during my childhood where my dad was quite unpredictable in his anger, and the house environment was kind of bleak, kind of dead, for a number of reasons, but mainly his presence is quite a figure, quite a, the energy that he exuded sometimes was terrifying, and it was complicated, how it affected my mom, I perceived me. But one of the side effects of that kind of presence was that the house was just, I have this image of or memory of my childhood home often being this dead. Like, yeah, so there's nothing aliveness, no vibration, sometimes not even a bad vibration, just like a dead vibration. And that's what's kind of resembles the dissociative states I've had, which were just like I said, nothing and so dead. And so I imagine it started in the sense as a young person, 9, 6, 7, earlier. I so I can't exactly say how it was born, but given the lack of joy or lack of safety, um, yeah, really being terrified sometimes, often looking focus very externally for safety, just knowing, just reading, trying to read people's faces to see somebody's gonna have an outburst or um, yeah. And amongst that, somehow I started to this kind of thing started where I started to start to my mind would start to disconnect and go into this despair. So I don't know exactly what age that would be for me. Maybe it was in my teens or earlier. I don't remember clearly. Um, I remember in my teens, I had a addiction to porn as well, which is got created, which came by in my 13 onwards. So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it was earlier, or just the combination of these factors, the energy is present at home, and me trying to be really the good boy, trying to, just kind of lost, I think, my essence in trying to avoid conflict, avoid his anger, um, the way it affected my mother. I was trying to get her love, but I think she was dealing with her own stuff, and I felt she, in a way, didn't exist for me for a few years. I couldn't rely on her almost, or yeah, I know she was there and she did a lot, but then at that age, I don't know how much I felt her love. I feel it more now. Yeah, so I became very studious, kind of lost that sense of, like trying to do anything which was out of the ordinary or out of the rule book. Became very, very straight, trying to not make any mistakes, so called, trying to really well to school, often to my own detriment, in the sense I wouldn't try other things. My desire, my ability to follow and know my desire faded. Often wouldn't know what makes me excited, or then following the excitement is a whole different level. So that kind of got distorted, and my ability to feel my body, my intuition got distorted, and gained weight. One thing that happened was my voice dropped. I noticed I became the way I speak now is a bit more heavier voice, but when I was younger, it was very low voice, very kind of almost sweet, like a low voice, and I think that was from unconsciously from not wanting to be seen by my dad, feeling the background. Another thing that developed was if somebody was talking to me, I would quickly fill space. I wouldn't leave space in conversations because of space like that I was taking up space. And making that a person react almost, and or having to fill space, and that was dangerous at home growing up. I would always not fill space. So they, give me a second. So yeah, those were, and then yeah, so it's like we were older, it would manifest as walking down the street. I remember in the States, and I, I would be walking on the street or doing something at home, or whatever, and then just out of the blue, suddenly I would go into a space, go into this dark or blankness, I call it. It's void, out of the blue, no, I couldn't make out what cues, what was the trigger. It would just happen, and then I would be in this state for, it's gonna disappear for sometimes hours, sometimes even days. And I don't know what would make it lift. So there was a lot of confusion in the internal map of what was causality, what led to what created what. And I don't recall clearly now, but I probably would reach for one, I would imagine at that time, in those moments of blankness. But I don't have a clear recollection of what some of the things I would do to regulate or soothe or try to get out of that state. Yeah, there's this fear in that state. This a sense of couldn't trust. There's no trust that the future is benign or there's any positivity to the future. And again, it wasn't depression. It wasn't that kind of falling, sinking. It was just a blank feeling which had those characteristics of just this despair. And so that went on until I was about 26, I think, something like that. And I remember thinking I really needed to fix that. At some point, my life fell apart. I burned out at my job, had to move countries again, came to Canada. And I knew something inside was telling me that I needed to fix this, otherwise my life it would not be good, or I just had to deal with this. And so when I came to Canada, one of the things I was doing was I went became associated with that meditation center, and really immersed myself in that. It was in a nature setting, very beautiful, away from the cities, and had a lot of nature. It was very basic. We didn't have running water. City was just focused on very very solid meditation training. It's a very simple place, not a lot of people. But a part of me really grabbed on, and when I spent a lot of hours there, and remember sitting in the afternoons meditating, and it was very, very hard. My mind was all over the place. It was very, very, very hard to just sit just for hours, and somehow did that. And then a few months later, I did a 2-week meditation retreat by myself, which was profound. And one of the images that came up, I was meditating pretty intensely, and one of the images, and this came up out of the blue. Wasn't thinking about this, but so mind was settling a bit. I think thought it was settling a bit. One of the images that came up was my mother sitting on a lawn, and I'm a baby, and she's holding me and putting me up in the sun, and really joyful, feeling a lot of love for me. And I still get emotional thinking about that right now. And that when that image came up, I started crying, and something new for me to feel that, because up to that point I felt that I don't exactly know, but yeah, the feeling maybe they didn't love me that way, or you didn't connect with that feeling of what the feeling she had when I was born. But that moment that cracked something, and anyway, the retreat went on, and then after a few months after that, I kept meditating outside of the retreat setting, but still pretty intensely. And I remember after about a year, when I left, when I kind of backed away from the meditation center, I remember I didn't have that dissociative feeling anymore. And I distinctly remember that. And yeah, it wasn't phasing out that way. I wasn't, something had changed. So there were other changes happening from the meditation I did, but that was one of the most clear changes I saw on notice. And I think that gave me the trust and keep going. So anyway, that was kind of a journey with association.